Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. Steven here with Team Euphoric, and this is day 4 of 80 days to your dream body. Your protein source for the day is going to be bison burgers, and we're going to be training shoulders and arms. And right now, I'm going to be taking you through the full stretching routine. And we've reached the end of the workout, which means it is time for the stretching routine. And I've got 3 stretches that I'm going to be taking you through. One is going to be for the anterior deltoid, one is going to be for the long head of the triceps brachii, and one for the long head of the biceps brachii. First one is going to be for the anterior deltoid, and it is going to be a PNF stretch for the anterior deltoid. What you want to do, ideally, I like to use the strength bands. If you don't have a strength band, you can use a yoga strap, or you could even just perform it isometrically against some type of stable surface. But if you do have a strength band, what you would want to do is you are going to place it on the top of your wrist, on the top of your forearm, and then you're going to grip it. You're then going to turn so that your arm is in extension. The anterior deltoid is responsible for flexion, medial rotation, and abduction. So we want to reverse those. We are going to take the arm into extension, and then we are going to move into it to get into adduction. Then what we want to do from this position right over here, once we feel a nice stretch, is we are actively going to go into shoulder flexion, medial rotation, and abduction. You're going to hold that for 6 seconds, then you're going to relax, and you're going to get deeper into it and rotate even more. And really try and open it up and get into lateral rotation. So again, we are going into flexion, medial rotation, and abduction. We're going to hold that for 6 seconds, and then we're going to exhale and relax. And we are going to get deeper into the stretch, and we're going to hold that for 10 seconds. Once 10 seconds has passed, we are going to go one final pass, flexion, medial rotation, and abduction. And then you're going to release after 6 seconds, go into lateral rotation, more extension, and adduction. And on this final pass, we are going to hold it for a total of 20 seconds. Once 20 seconds has passed, then that is it, and we are going to transition onto the left side. And I think that was about 20 seconds, so we're going to go ahead and switch it up. I'm just going to do it on the left side now. So same thing. We're going to fish the hand underneath. We are going to give a nice little pinch, hold on. From this position right over here, I am going to turn over so that my arm is in extension, and I'm going to move away. That way my arm is going to go into a deduction. From this position, I had it right. And then from this position right over here, what we're going to do is we are going to go into we are going to go into lateral rotation, so we're going to get a nice stretch. Once we have that, we are going to go into flexion, medial rotation, and abduction by pressing across. And then we're going to exhale, relax after 6 seconds. We're going to go more into lateral rotation, more into extension, and more into abduction. Going to hold that for 10 seconds. After 10 seconds, we are going to go into flexion, medial rotation. Get that arm as far to the opposite hip as you can. After 6 seconds, exhale, relax. Lateral rotation, extension, and really try and get that arm across your body as much as you possibly can. We're going to do one final pass. Medial rotation, flexion, abduction. Hold for 6 seconds. Exhale, relax. Go into lateral rotation, extension, and pull the arm across toward the opposite glute. This final pass, we are going to hold it for a total of 20 seconds. And after 20 seconds, we can go ahead and relax. And that is it for the PNF stretching for the anterior deltoid. Next, we are going to do the myofascial stretching exercise for the triceps brachii, specifically the long head of the triceps brachii. For this one right over here, you could do it from a seated position. If you are going to be doing it from a seated position, what you would want to do is the arm that you are working, you are going to place it up and over your head. And then imagine that with your arm, you're trying to bring your elbow up toward the sky. With the non-working arm, you are going to pull it across. And you want a neutral hand position. You're not going into supination or pronation. You want it neutral. You're going to hold that for 30 seconds. Let me just step back. That way I could get in frame. And you are actively trying to push the elbow up to the sky. You're not just pulling across, but you are actively trying to bring the elbow up toward the sky. And I believe that was about 30 seconds. So now we're going to relax. You can do this one kneeling, seated, standing, doesn't really matter. And other side. Reach up and over. Pull the elbow across. Actively push your elbow up toward the sky. And we're going to hold that for 30 seconds. As with all of the myofascial stretching exercises, we are going to do 3 sets of 30 seconds on each side. We've got about, I want to say 10 seconds left. And relax. And just so I could get a little bit more in frame, I am going to do these last couple sets from a kneeling position. So you're reaching up and over, pull across, push up with the elbow. So really focus on getting that arm behind the ear and pushing the elbow up toward the sky. We got about 5 seconds left. And relax. We're going to switch sides. So go ahead. Go and touch the opposite shoulder blade. Pull the elbow over. Actively push the elbow up to the sky. Maintain that neutral position in the wrist and forearm. That was about 15 seconds. Five more. And relax. We've got one final pass. We're going to reach up and over, touch the opposite shoulder blade, pull the elbow across, actively push the elbow up to the sky, and we're going to hold it for 30 seconds. Ten seconds. And relax. One more. Reach up and over, push up to the sky. 10 seconds. And relax. And that covers it for the myofascial stretching exercise for the triceps brachii. Next is going to be the myofascial stretching exercise for the biceps brachii. And the final stretch for the day is going to be the myofascial stretching exercise for the biceps brachii, specifically the long head of the biceps brachii. And this stretch can be performed in 2 different ways. You can perform it as one side at a time, or you can do it bilaterally. If you want to do it unilaterally, then whatever side you are stretching, you would just want to do a contralateral side bend, contralateral rotation to get more myofascial tension over the area where the biceps is. But we are going to be doing it as a bilateral exercise, so we're just going to keep a neutral head. We're going to be doing it in a seated position. So the knees are going to be flexed between 90 to 135 degrees. We want to go into retroversion of the pelvis by tucking the pelvis underneath us. We want a nice neutral spine. At the chest, we want to elevate the chest. So imagine that you're pushing your sternum away from your body. And while we're doing that, we simultaneously want to go into retropulsion of the humerus and retroversion of the scapula. So imagine that you are pushing your palms out away from you and you are squeezing your shoulder blades together. At the humerus, we're also going into maximum lateral rotation. So really get your fingers pointing out as much as you can and try and get them into, try and get your arms to touch in the back as much as you can. But we're elevating the chest. We are going into retropulsion of the humerus. We are going into retroversion of the scapula. And at the elbows, we want to create a varus force. So imagine that you are pushing your elbows out to the outside. And now, from this position right over here, we are going to hold it for 30 seconds. And we have about 10 seconds left. And slowly come out of it. We're going to take about a 10-15 second break before we move on to the second set. Keynotes, again, the retropulsion of the humerus and the retroversion of the scapula are going to be very, very important for creating maximum myofascial tension on the anterior aspect of the humerus. Again, we're in a seated position, retroversion of the pelvis, neutral spine. We are going to stick the chest out, so push the sternum up toward the sky. Go into retropulsion of the humerus by imagining that somebody is yanking your arms down into the ground. And then we are going to go into retroversion of the scapula by squeezing the shoulder blades together. So retraction, retroversion, same thing. We are going to go into maximum lateral rotation and try and get those hands as close to one another as possible. And on the second pass, let's see if we can get a little bit deeper. So try and get your hands farther behind your back. And we're going to keep the chin tucked in, crown of head up. Varus force at the elbows. So imagine that you are pushing your elbows out to the sides. So you want your elbows moving out and away from your body. That was about 10 seconds. One thing worth noting is these stretches, they start the moment you get into the final position. So once you start setting up, you don't start the clock just then. Once you're in the final setup position, or once you're in the final setup position, that is when the clock starts. And that was about 30 seconds. So I'm going to slowly come out of it a little bit more. Felt that one. Going to rest about 5 more seconds, and then we're going to go one final pass. I am not going to tell you what to do. Once we get into the setup position, then I'll explain it. I want to see if you guys could remember and get into it yourself. My goal is always for my clients and patients to be able to not need me, and that is the same with my goal for you guys. I want you guys to eventually graduate from my channel so that you don't need to watch my videos. You'll just know what to do. Now that we're in the final position, I'm going to explain what exactly you should have done. So the hips and knees are flexed. The pelvis is in retroversion. Tall spine, chin is tucked in. Crown of the head is pushing up toward the sky. Eyes are looking down at the floor to put the dura mater under tension. At the shoulder, we're going into maximum external rotation. We've got retropulsion of the humerus, retroversion of the scapula, and we are creating a varus force at the elbows by pushing the elbows away from us. And I think we got about 5 or 10 seconds left. Remember, push that sternum up to the sky. Really focus on extending those elbows as much as you can and slowly come out of it. And congratulations, you guys just completed day 4 of 80 days to your dream body. Thanks for sticking around until the end of the video. Be sure to like, share, and leave a comment as it'll help the algorithm. And if you enjoyed the content, show your support by subscribing to the channel by clicking on the icon in the bottom right corner. And if you really want to show your support, then consider becoming a member by clicking on the icon in the bottom left corner. These new high-quality videos aren't cheap to edit, and the $5 membership will really help with the video editing budget. You'll also get access to a ton of exclusive perks like early access to videos and this program design lecture playlist in the top right-hand corner. And if you want to learn how to do a one-armed pull-up, then check out the playlist on the top left corner.